Sally, this is rapid, how quickly this bank went into total collapse. It was just a couple of days, and it happened in the middle of a day on a Friday, which is highly unusual.
I know, it's been a really stunning turn of events here. A very brief potted history of what happened. This bank, it had really a 1-2 punch of having a very concentrated depositor base with startups, and then it also felt the pain of rising interest rate hikes. And then over the past few days, it tried to initiate this rescue plan and raise capital, but unfortunately it had to abandon that plan. And then the FDIC stepped in to actually close the bank. And now we have two very big questions, which are what happens to the bank, and also how did regulators miss this?
You know, when we're breaking news, Sally, you're my first call, and I want to see if you could walk us through here on what happens next and what the market should be watching for.
Well, in terms of what happens next, the bank actually, we're not entirely sure what the progress will be, but we can expect that the bank goes into some sort of sale procedure. We knew that it was exploring other options after the equity raise was cancelled. And then the questions circle what happens to its depositor base. There are insured depositors who, as long as they're insured to the degree of who are insured to the degree of 250,000, and then there are a huge amount of uninsured depositors. About 90% of the bank's depositor base are uninsured. So what happens to them? That's another big question.
Yeah, and if those depositors that are uninsured, Sally, aren't made whole, does that not just intensify the risk of contagion here?
I think that's what the bank regulators really have to act now to stave off. They don't want to have another Silicon Valley Bank on their hands next week. And we know that the issue that the bank has been hit with, it's a kind of disease that other banks are also facing to varying degrees. Silicon Valley Bank was a really extreme example of what happens when the Federal Reserve hikes interest rates, and it was compounded by the fact that the bank has this concentration in startups. And so it really needs to, the regulators really need to act fast in order to contain this, to stave off any kind of fears that it will happen to other banks.